Thanks for joining us today, and thanks to AFCEA for organizing this event. I'm Brandon Niski. I'm a Principal Solutions Architect here at Okta, and co-presenting with me today is Shannon Duvak of Login.gov and GSA. So we'll be covering a brief overview of identity trends that we see around AI for high-impact service providers, or HISPs, within government, as well as how Login.gov is leading the way on improving constituent to government interactions and to improve user experience and security. First, I'll start with our safe harbor slide. So again, Okta is a publicly traded company, and as such, any forward-looking statements I make today are subject to change. So from an Okta perspective, in our interactions kind of across all of public sector, we see the following 5 kind of critical themes and priorities. The first one being modernization. Most of us have all been kind of on a modernization journey for many years, whether that's the shift to cloud, the adoption of mobile, or the continued drive for efficiency. Second is cybersecurity. So obviously zero trust has been a big theme across the cybersecurity and ICAM space for several years now. And again, all of that is really trying to push the reducing the attack surface and assume breach for new systems as we design those. Third is around user experience. So think of this as the digital services and the excellence that we're looking to achieve in these as a major theme for high-impact service providers as they directly provide services to constituents accessing government services and benefits. But I would say one of the largest challenging ones that we all face together is priorities around combating fraud, and especially around the sheer volume of leaked data that's out there and how that it further enables advanced identity fraud attacks via threat actors. And then finally, fifth is around the safe and rapid adoption of generative AI. And obviously this has been a major technological leap for all of us across industry and government, and so it's been quite a race to adopt these things, and then obviously add security along the way and from the beginning. So agencies across the federal government are prioritizing how they deliver public-facing services across all channels to meet customers where they are. The federal government is also focused on making public benefits and services accessible and inclusive to more and more people, and providing a higher level of service, whether that be online, in person, or over the phone. Either way, these services must be as efficient as possible for federal agencies, employees, and citizens alike. The government's prioritization of customer experience through these designated high-impact service providers is working, and we see that identity continues to be a critical enabler. So diving into the lead-up of agentic AI, for years, creating powerful applications was the domain of specialized developers. But today we're witnessing a profound shift. AI is rapidly democratizing app creation, effectively turning users into developers. So imagine a reality where you can build, connect, and run sophisticated applications simply by describing what you want to see. This is now becoming a reality because natural language processing is emerging as a new programming language effectively. Tools like Gemini Code, Claude Code, platforms such as Relevance AI are transforming natural language processing into these new programming interfaces. Furthermore, platforms like Copilot Studio empower users to create intricate workflows, launch custom agents, and connect disparate systems, all without writing a single line of code. While this innovation unleashes incredible productivity, it ushers in a new wave of user-generated agents that are fast, scalable, and most concerningly, but often invisible to traditional IT oversight and cybersecurity. This fundamental change is reshaping our identity landscape, and we'll explore significantly the additional risks that this presents. Previously, our interaction with AI was largely reactive, so think about this as the chatbots we're used to interacting with that relied on predefined rules or keywords, and they respond to simple queries, primarily used for frequently asked questions or automating basic customer service interactions. Then rapidly came AI that acted on our behalf, so think about these as the virtual assistants we have in our pockets or that further help us automate our day and calendar management. These systems evolved to act on behalf of users, and they use natural language processing to understand complex commands and engage in interactive conversations. But we are now entering an era of autonomous AI agents. These aren't just tools waiting for commands. AI agents are acting independently. They're designed to pursue goals, make decisions, and connect across complex systems, often without explicit, real-time human permissions or interactions. Apps now make decisions, connect across systems with or without explicit permission. An AI agent might detect a business opportunity, then autonomously initiate a set of actions to coordinate actions across multiple applications, whether that's data analysis, sending notifications, or eventually executing transactions, all to achieve a predefined objective. This level of autonomy undoubtedly boosts productivity, but it opens up incredible possibilities from an automation perspective. However, it also creates a lot of identity risk. When apps can make decisions and connect to systems on their own, how do we manage those accounts and the actions that they take? How do we ensure that we're operating within the security boundaries that we've established for a very long time? The very fabric of our identity and access management is being challenged by these fast, scalable, and often invisible digital actors. This is a critical area of uncertainty, and it demands our immediate action. We've seen compelling evidence of AI's impact through recent headlines, but now let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. It's important to understand that AI isn't just a minor change to existing threats. It's fundamentally rewriting the entire battlefield of cybersecurity. On one hand, AI turbocharges traditional attacks. So for an example, let's think about a spear phishing campaign that was crafted with such precision and scale that they're indistinguishable from common communications. So the cybersecurity training that we're using to look for these kind of errors really doesn't become as relevant anymore. Or imagine malware that learns and evolves in real time, slipping past static rule-based defenses. The disruption goes even further beyond and evolving tried and true cybersecurity attack methods. AI is birthing an entirely new category of threat. AI isn't just helping the attackers, it is also becoming the attacker. We're seeing the rise of intelligent bots, autonomous AI agents, and interconnected synthetic APIs, all operating independently across cloud, edge, and hybrid environments. This isn't just an expansion of the attack surface, it's a significant shift towards dynamic machine speed environment, one that traditional network security architectures just weren't designed to understand, let alone defend. And within that shift, agentic AI introduces a uniquely dangerous identity challenge. These autonomous agents, by their nature, are not waiting for human commands. They're initiating actions, calling APIs, and transacting data while interacting with other machines using long-lived session credentials, often with highly privileged access, and not adopting really least privileged principles that we have had as cybersecurity standards for so long. If such an identity from an agent is compromised, the potential for rapid and widespread automated malicious activity is significant. And the problem isn't just theoretical, it's happening right now. Inside of most organizations, these agents are being created and deployed at a pace that IT and security teams just simply can't keep up with. Over 90% of organizations that we've seen are already using AI agents in some fashion or at least beginning evaluations, but 44% of them do not have governance in place. Many don't even know which agents are active, what they have access to, or how they behave. This blind spot turns each agent into a potential liability, especially when there's no policy enforcement and no way to shut things down if they go wrong. In the new AI-powered world, lack of control isn't just risky, it's unsustainable. So we've established that AI adoption is surging, but governance hasn't kept up. Here's what's happening. Organizations are moving so fast with AI agent deployments that they're taking shortcuts around proper identity and cybersecurity practices. Here's the reality of AI agent deployment today. Agents are accessing LLMs, taking actions, and connecting to data sources through REST APIs, MCP, or agent-to-agent communication. And they're interacting with mission-critical resources and most sensitive applications. But here's the problem. In the rush to get to those these agents operational, teams are defaulting to basic authentication methods like static API keys and service accounts that don't leverage the best practices and technologies that we have in place to manage these kind of permissions in a modern way. The technology does exist, as I mentioned, but again, speed is winning out in the name of over security. We're operating in an environment where we can't identify what's accessing our systems, we can't trace the actions being taken, and we can't see what data is being processed. And we can't manage the lifecycle of these credentials enabling any of this either. Traditional identity frameworks have always kind of assumed human-based access controls, but with some extension for non-human identity fundamentals. But these autonomous systems operate at machine speed with dynamic, unpredictable behaviors, and because of these implementation shortcuts, identity teams lose visibility. And there has to be a better way. The approach isn't sustainable as AI agents become more critical to business and mission operations. So I've talked about some of the risks, but these are some examples of just some of the key risks that we're seeing from an Okta perspective across identity. We see examples of inappropriate or unauthorized access to data due to over-permissioned agents or tokens. We see a lack of compliance and audit gaps that exist because of these agents, and then a lack of least privilege where due to weak authorization, this enables broader access than across the enterprise than what agents really need to fulfill their mission. Additionally, we see leaked keys and secrets due to poor DevOps processes that in turn further exposes organizations to additional risk and data breach. All of these issues ignore the established basics of cybersecurity best practices, but as you'll see, identity can lead the charge to mitigate these issues and concerns. Agentic AI requires a fundamental new approach, and identity and security are the key point. Identity needs to become the control plane for AI operations. We're approaching this here at Okta from two angles. The first one being on the development side, where Auth0 is already enabling developers to build agents that are secure by design from day one. This is about shifting security left, enabling it in the development process, much like CISA's secure by design approach, rather than bolting it on after deployment. For Auth0 and app developers, we're delivering user authentication that works seamlessly with AI workflows, token vaults that securely manage credentials, async authorization that lets agents work autonomously while maintaining user control, and finally fine-grained authorization, or FGA. And again, that enables agents to only access the data they are authorized to access. On the enterprise side, which again is very fitting here on the government side, we're defining what a comprehensive AI agent governance should look like within the Okta platform. This is about bringing existing agents, whether third-party or homegrown, into a unified identity fabric where organizations can truly see and control what's happening via industry standards. This includes the ability to detect and discover agents wherever they exist, provision and register them properly, authorize them and protect them with appropriate policies, and govern and monitor their behavior continuously. This represents identity as a universal control plane, the single point where organizations can see, manage, and secure all agent activity, just like we do for users and privileged users and external users as well. And we're setting the standard for how this should work. One example of these emerging standards is cross-app access for AI agents. This is a really exciting area which represents a fundamental shift in how we approach application security in the age of autonomous systems. This isn't just about Okta's capabilities, though. This is about creating new protocols and standards for the entire community's benefit, and that really fundamentally changes how AI agents interact with applications across your entire ecosystem. The challenge that we're aiming to solve is that enterprises don't have the visibility and control over agent behavior like they would expect. And this creates security blind spots, as I've mentioned, that only get worse as we adopt more AI. Cross-app access is a new protocol, and it's really built on three core principles. The first one is shifting control of apps and agent access to the identity layer. So this means using the identity platform and fabric that you already have or are looking to modernize with. Second, it applies policies to the connection in real time, no more unmanaged access. And so what that means is, again, the application or the agent is always working in conjunction with the IDP, so you have full visibility. And then third, it standardizes how data is accessed across these systems. So again, we're trying to drive consistency across your entire application ecosystem. The approach here really is around standardization. These protocols enable enterprises to see and control every agent interaction, enforce least privilege across consistently, and eliminate risky unmanaged connections. Okta is committed to driving this industry standard for secure agent communication so that any ISV can implement these technologies and giving really the entire market a better way to handle AI agent access and security. As I've covered here, AI is rewriting how software behaves, and identity must rise to meet these challenges. Okta gives you the tools to secure this new generation of AI agents from inside and out. Starting today, you can, with Auth for generative AI, you can use that to embed secure login, scoped access, and policy control into your AI features from day one. And if you're looking to manage how agents and apps interact across your ecosystem, join our early access program for cross-app access and bring real-time governance to every connection. The future of AI is already here, and now it's time to secure it with identity. So as you've seen, Okta is a leading identity security platform provider, and we contribute significant value and capabilities to these key priority areas of modernization, cybersecurity, user experience, and adoption of generative AI. On the areas of prevention of identity theft and fraud protection, our native capabilities plus the integrations of key partners like login.gov are how we raise the bar for our public sector customers. I'll now hand it off to Shannon from login.gov to talk more about what they're doing from a GSA perspective.
Thanks, Brandon. And so I'm going to do a little bit of like a recap, some fun facts you may have seen earlier from my colleague Matt. We had really great discussions yesterday with Regina. But at its core, the thing that I think we've heard a lot about at this conference is around how do you balance this really big problem of the challenge for access with fraud. And so how do you enable legitimate users who are trying to access a really core critical benefit or service and prevent the bad actors from also doing so? And when we're thinking about all of the different things that Brandon was sharing with us earlier, one of the key components here is from a login.gov perspective, our goal is to help you as agents, federal, state, local agencies, to ensure that when someone is trying to access your applications, that you're able to verify their identity with confidence. And then if you are partnering with a partner like Okta to allow for that authorization, that you're doing so because you've identified the risk level that's needed for that application. And so that's sort of where the two of us sort of combine forces, right? And so here you can see some of these staggering numbers. We have 330 million users who are legitimate that need access to critical benefits and services. And when you're comparing that or juxtaposing it with the amount of fraud that we see, those numbers are really, really high. And so GAO has estimated between the years of 2018 to 2022 that between 233 billion and 521 billion were on an annual basis are the financial losses that we're seeing across government. And so again, what we're trying to do here is how can we ensure that the right users are getting access to the right benefits and services. And so again, this is one way that login.gov addresses these challenges. And I think earlier in the discussion about silos and breaking down the silos, one of the things that really stood out to me is if we are here and having these conversations, if we're partnering with industry partners in the private sector, if we're partnering with our federal government agencies, how can we combine forces to really ensure that we have the best of the best in terms of our tools and in terms of our authoritative sources to create more effective and efficient ways to verify a user's identity. And so one of the things here that I want to highlight that I think we've done a good amount of work here in sort of addressing these things is highlight some of the ways that we're thinking about that by talking a little bit about our user flow. And so when you look here on the bottom, you'll see what we're powered by. And so we have these really great, robust tools and vendor diversifications on the back end. But what we're looking for is document legitimacy. And so what are some of those indicators that may look at fraud, such as tampering of fraudulent documents? And then when we're talking about our IL2 compliant solution, what we're looking for as a user is uploading their selfie image is a passive liveness. We really want to make sure that that's a live capture, and then we're doing that one-to-one comparison of that document to that selfie image. Additionally, we have various record checks that we have an end user sort of update their information, and then we're looking on the back end to look at those details and match them to authoritative sources. We also are looking at our phone ownership. So does that user have possession of that phone? And then looking at various records to then check that back to the identity. But most importantly, we have fraud checks throughout this process, right? And so one of the things that we're doing is looking at things like IP addresses, and we're just trying to ensure that this user is the legitimate user, so that again, when we pass them back to your agency with those attributes, you're making those risk-based decisions in order to allow them access to your applications. And sort of just moments ago, I sort of recapped that at a high level, we know that one of the major challenges here is that balance between legitimate user access and preventing bad actors from also doing that. And we know that there's still many things that we need to do in this space collectively in order to continue to address this. But we also have really exciting opportunities and partnerships that we've seen have proven successful in this space, and one of them being our U.S. passports. And so we recently launched our U.S. passport for document authentication for end users. Again, when we're trying to increase access, we're looking at what are those pieces of evidence that an end user has that can help them with this process. So outside of state-issued IDs, which we also do accept, we are accepting passport books. And what we're doing is we're checking that with the API directly from the Department of State, which is a first of its kind, in order to check for the legitimacy and validity of that document. And so by going again to that issuing source, we're able to do this reliable government-to-government sharing. And so again, as I mentioned, we are accepting the passports for our IL2 and our basic identity verification services. We will be accepting them in our hybrid flow, which allows an end user to go to the post office in fiscal year 26. But here I just wanted to highlight what that UI looks like for an end user so they can see up front the ability to select that passport book. And I just got these stats yesterday. I was like, oh, I need to update this since the last time I shared this, but one of the really exciting things here is that over 2.2 million users have seen this option to choose this passport book. And again, we just think that increasing this access and by matching this with an authoritative source, we're really doubling down on ensuring that legitimate users are accessing your critical benefits and services across the government landscape. And although passports is, again, one of these exciting things that we're doing here, we do have some other future endeavors that are on the horizon, which we are equally as excited about, some of which we've already mentioned in other sessions. Digital IDs, I think we've heard a lot about MDLs. We know that this is an area in this space where we want to continue to grow. And then if we're looking at the ways that we can partner with other government agencies to inherit credentials like your PIV and your CAC card, there's a lot of opportunity here to just do that at the source. We have to go through a lot of hoops as government workers, if you are one. To get your PIV card, you have to go and basically prove that you've never done anything that would prevent you from gaining access to that building or those secret files. And so they're like, scan every fingerprint. And you're like, okay, I will. And then they're like, here's your fancy PIV card. And so because you have to go through all of those hoops, we want to sort of how can we tap into that? That's a very high level of assurance. Can we just work directly with these issuing sources in order to give you a higher level, and also pass that back over to an agency? And so again, as we're continuing to look at these ways that we can partner both with partners like Okta and then also within the government, we just see a lot of opportunities here to create more efficiencies, and to more effectively say with confidence, this end user deserves to sort of access this application. And so we're really excited about the momentum that we're building and our continued partnerships with companies and industry partners like Okta.
Thank you, Shannon. So as you've seen today, Okta and login.gov give you the tools to secure this new generation of AI as well as constituent-facing services and use cases. So starting today, Auth with Gen AI, you can embed secure login, scoped access, and policy control into your AI applications from day one. And if you're looking at agents and how they can access apps and data across your ecosystem, join our early access for cross-app access. Finally, you can explore how Okta and login.gov can improve your external user app experience and security through our pre-built integrations out of the box, both with Okta and login.gov. The future of AI for high-impact service providers is already here, and now's the time to secure it with an identity-first approach. Thank you again for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day here at FCA.